Here we go.
Cool.
Chris Wood, thank you for sitting down and having a chat with me today, man.
All good.
For the Ins22 TV, first interview of 2020. And man, is it a privilege.
Thanks, bro.
Just want to get some background on you.
Sure.
What nationality are you, man, and where were you born and raised?
So, I am NZ, Kiwi, European. My dad's from England.
Okay.
But my mum was a Kiwi. And so I'm the youngest of 4 boys.
Right.
And I grew up in Karori. I was born in Wellington Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Born in Wellington?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, okay, so what schools did you go to in that, bro?
So I first went to Karori West, which is where I started skating. Like, one of my older brothers was into skating, and so I just wanted to do what my older brother was doing. And so Paul was pretty good at skating as well, and so I always wanted to hang out with him and his friends, and yep, that's how I got into it. And then from Karori West, I went to Onslow College.
Okay.
Because they had a bowl at the school.
Okay.
You could take your board to school, and also it was co-ed, so there's girls and boys, and you didn't have to wear a uniform.
So you made a move from Karori out to Onslow West?
No, so I still lived in Karori.
Oh,
Still
right.
living at my folks' house in Karori. But so most people go to Wellington College from Karori. That's what it's zoned for. But I wanted to go to Onslow. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you
For
could
the bowl?
skate for the bowl. Yeah.
Funny. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what kind of stuff did you study at school?
Man, I wasn't really good at school. You know, like it's funny, I didn't apply myself until later on in life, until post skate career, is when I really started to study. But in school, I was good at art and I was good at PE, and that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't that great at anything else. And I guess, to be fair though, I just wasn't really ready to study, and I just wanted to skate and hang out with the homies, and yeah,
Fair
that was
enough.
it.
Okay, cool, bro. So what did you get into when you left school? Did you go into any courses or training or stuff like that?
Yeah, so as soon as I turned 16, I dropped out. Like, I didn't want to be on school. It was a pretty full-on time in my life. Like,
What year was this? What years were these?
I'm trying to think. So this is mid-90s.
Okay.
Around mid-90s. And so, yeah, like, my mum died of cancer when I was 15, and so I didn't stick it out much. And then my brother Paul, who sort of got me into skating and stuff, and he went to prison for murder 3 days after my mum died. And so I was like, and I just wasn't really concentrating in school and stuff, and so I left school, and for me to be able to get like a benefit and whatnot, then I had to study. And so I went and did like a little course to do with like, you could either do hospitality, retail, or I think the other one was something to do with conservation. And I did the retail one, and then I started working in like a Whitcool's office supply job or something, and then eventually I went to work for Cheapskates, which is who I was skating for at the time. And so yeah, I worked at a skate shop.
Okay.
And it was just skating and working in the skate shop, gripping boards, and yeah, it was all good.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Okay, we'll get into the skateboarding stuff. Right, now, when was your first ever glimpse of somebody riding a skateboard, or ever seeing it ever for the first time?
So I think it was, it must have been late 80s when sort of my brothers were getting into it. Mostly the brother who's closest to my age, Paul, and his friends, and it was sort of around the Bones Brigade time, and mid to late 80s. And so I was born in 81, and I must have been maybe around 7, but I didn't know much about the videos or anything like that, and all you mostly knew was about the graphics, the old Power Proda and Santa Cruz graphics, and then I just remember like this other guy, I think his name was Gavin Chong, and and he could fakie ollie really well. He could fakie ollie to tail stall on benches and stuff, and we're like, whoa,
Wow.
that is crazy. I can't believe that. And there were rumours around that like he used to steam his kick tail to make it steeper, and that's how he could ollie so high.
Really?
And stuff like this. Yeah. And this
Wow.
is and so I remember it was just, I was pretty young, and maybe it was down on the tennis courts at Crawley West School was where I first sort of saw proper board skating. I mean, before that, I'm pretty sure we had like an old banana board around the house, like just maybe something you could sit on your butt on, and you know, that was about it. But when I saw the first proper boards, like pro boards and stuff, that was down the school, and I think my brother and his friend group, were into skating, and that's how when I first saw it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. When did you first start? What age were you when you started picking up boards and stuff?
I think that I was probably around 8. Yeah, and I'm 38 now, so 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, time flies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was like 8, and like I just wanted to do what my older brother was doing, and they had skateboards and stuff.
What was your first board that you ever got? Can you remember? It's a long time, right?
I think the first pro board which I ever got was the old Rob Roscott melting face.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like an old Santa Cruz board. I think that was the first pro board I ever got, and I think that was a hand-me-down too. Yeah, and then I sort of just got into other stuff from there. Like, yeah.
Well, who were some of your friends that you came up skate? Oh, was it mostly with your brother or? Yeah,
so there are different eras. It's funny because there's different eras in Wellington skating. Sure. So there was mostly around that time when I heavily started getting into it. We had this place. And this was, skateboarding was booming in Wellington, probably in New Zealand and the world, like the, 89, 90, sort of around there, and they had the skate pit in Wellington, and so I would skate with anyone who was around me, and then there was, people more around my brother's age. It was like the Gregoroff brothers were big legends in Wellington skateboarding, so like Anthony and Ivan and Greg, all 3 of them were really good, especially those guys were like pretty big legends in Wellington skateboarding back then. And
there's a few videos that have surfaced of the old skate pit.
We were so lucky to have it. We didn't even know how lucky we were. But it was just crazy, like this giant playground where the stadium is now, and massive old railway, whatever you call what they house the trains in, a shed, I guess, and with giant snake run and lots of vert ramps.
Yeah, who made all that stuff?
So the guys to do with it, I think it was, there's this one guy, JC, who, there was a funny tie-in with him. There was like some radio personality guy. I want to say Grant Kiriyama, but maybe not Grant Kiriyama, maybe it was someone else. But I remember this guy, Johnny Cunningham, and he had a lot to do with it. I think there was 4 of them, and they went in and they started the skate pit.
Wow.
And the funny thing is with that guy JC, I think he now owns Raglan Roast Coffee, and started some in Raglan and owns one in Wellington. But the funny thing about him is that years later, we're talking, I don't know, 10 years later maybe or something? No, even longer than that, maybe 15 years later, when I got on Volcom in Australia, he owned the rights to Volcom Australasia. Okay. So what they'd done is, they had the right to manufacture it, and he ran Volcom Australia in New Zealand. So it was the same guy who used to own part of the skate pit. Okay. And he was...
Is that where he ended up?
Yeah, and because he was living in Manly in Aussie. Okay. And when I first got on Volcom, so they have, obviously he's the big boss guy, and so
and you saw him again.
Well, the thing was, right, is that I didn't really catch up with him until I was in Manly later on after I got on the team. But one of the team managers had told him that, so Chris Wood, we're getting this guy Chris Wood, he's on the team. And he was like, what, that little grommet from back at the skate pit days? Yeah. So he remembered me from back at the skate pit days. And was like, that little grom. And because at the skate pit, like I remember I used to do a little bit of work and maybe like the canteen there. and I'd just get paid in spacey credits because they had spaceys there.
Yeah.
And so I'd just play the karate game with the 2 joysticks, you know, like fucking some other stuff. But yeah, and the guy, one of the guys who started at JC, ended up running Volcom Australia and New Zealand later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
interesting. But yeah, so the skate pit, Anthony Gregoroff, Ivan, I always looked up to, like, you'd see people at the demos and you like Dean Hunt was the Pram crew, and you'd like, he was the Vert legend from Wellington, and there were heaps of crew. But then it sort of changed and people stopped skating, and then into the 90s the crew changed as well, and I was hanging out with Charles Munt and Andrew Hayata a lot, and the UHP and all those crew from the Hut and stuff, and and that was sort of like mid 90s to late 90s. Those guys, and it was Jeremy Tavendale and Bernard Fu and Plop, and there was a whole bunch of crew, and even like Ryan Lees and you know, Brad Murphy, and then later on Duncan Allen, and there's also like the Stokes Valley kind of crew, which was Simon Lockett. And like he was a legend as well.
Is he from there?
Yeah, he's from Stokes Valley, Simon Lockett, yeah. So he was like, I remember he went away and travelled for a bit, and then everyone was like, whoa, Simon Lockett, have you seen what he's done now? And I think there was one thing back at the skate pit midday, and he was doing massive ollie late shove-its or stuff, and no one could really do late shove-its, and this is when like nose bonks were becoming trendy and stuff, and we're like, whoa, oh my god, I can't believe he can do late shove-its, he's the best. And
I've seen him on some media stuff. Still going strong.
Yeah, Simon's cool, man. Yeah, he's real into his martial arts now, and he lives in Japan. But man, he was the shit back in the day. Tell you that.
Fair enough. Okay, right. there's so sticking with the 90s stuff, there was a lot of, we had the small wheels era, the wider boards and stuff like that. Was there as much street as there was vert back then? Like in the 90s?
So in the 90s, you know, vert had died off, but in the Wellington scene in the 90s it was pretty funny, because it was definitely the small wheels era. You know, and like I definitely had wheels which were just pretty much bearing cases. Like they were so small, and in some ways it meant it was kind of easier learning a lot of flip tricks like that, because one thing, you couldn't go that fast, but when you have really light wheels, the board flips easier. And
definitely.
It was a really interesting time in the 90s, because that was like, especially towards the mid to late 90s, where it was the cheapskates and the skate and snow guys, you know, the two sort of rival shops. And I think like Matt Russell was quite hard out about the rivalry and stuff, and
I remember the shops.
Like it was funny. Like I remember, you know, and they had like the guys who rode for them then, like, you know, like at the time was like Brad Bowes and Kyle Percival and stuff, and they were like really, really good skaters, and who else? Paul Cosgrove and Ryan Lees, and they were all the skate snow guys, and I kind of felt like, I don't think they liked me that much, because I skated for Cheapskates, and I worked at Cheapskates as well. And you know, Cheapskates was like, Boardroom. Oh my god.
All at the same time?
Yes, Boardroom was still going. And you know, like, Craig Harris, such a legend, and then you know, and still going strong today, still skating down the bowl. We might see him all the time. Craig's awesome. And you know, but there was like Chris Sharland, and there was a whole bunch of dudes associated with the Boardroom who were really cool, and really, really good skaters. I'm pretty sure Bernie skated for them as well. But it was funny because, like, with you know, I worked for this is a little bit post Boardroom time for when it used to be around Pigeon Park, but you know, when I was working at Cheapskates, and of course for skate and snow dudes, right, like they want to build loyalty to their shop, and they want people to come and see them, so they want to be the coolest shop, and they definitely were, which wasn't hard, because like Cheapskates sold rollerblades, and like I'm like fucking trying to serve people who sell rollerblades and shit, and like you know, and they were a cool skate shop, so they were always a little bit cooler, but there was definitely like a little bit of animosity, I think,
Yeah.
between, you know, the shops there and what was
Yeah.
cool and what wasn't cool.
I used to pop into all the shops and see all the very, hey bros, just keeping it kosher with everyone.
And it's funny because I know all those dudes, you know,
Yeah,
now, and I see them, and it's nothing like that. And they're just such good dudes, you know, and like,
That's cool, eh?
Yeah,
That's
but it
cool.
was rad though. It was really cool. And then with Matt Russell having his skate park Team Machine was awesome. That
Team
was
Machine.
such a good asset for Wellington
Yeah.
skate community. And I remember going to parties there, and
true.
and like I used to skate there a lot with Shannon Munro, who is a real sick Wellington dude. And he is the most amazing snowboarder nowadays. I caught up with him a couple of years ago. Before Snowpark closed in Wanaka, and his buttering and like pressing and box stuff on snowboard is incredible. He was always a good skater too, but he is really good. He does seasonal work snowboarding.
Okay.
He was doing that for a while, but we had another Wellington guy who was really good, and we used to skate with back in the day.
Yep.
But yeah, man, it was a cool little scene in the 90s. I reckon Wellington was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, the old Chafers was.
Yeah.
It was pretty dero. Like, you know, there was a lot of broken bottles and smashed glass and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, when you bail, quite a good chance you might get a little splinter of glass in you.
Yeah.
But they had the old ramp from the skate pit there.
Yeah.
You know, which is one of the smoothest concrete ramps. That thing was dangerous.
It
But
was.
It was
a solid, eh?
It was good. If you'd learned to skate that, you could
One of the
skate
first things I
whatever.
rocked on, it was
Yeah.
it was fast, eh? You had to watch out. Just zoom.
Yeah, and then they had a couple of the old rad ramps too, and
Yeah.
we used to skate there and hang out. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so Schaefer's. Have you ever looked at Bowen when it was doable?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I definitely looked at Bowen. So
Few people
I know
do it,
Jade
eh?
Foster tried it. I don't know if he landed it, ollieing it, straight ollieing it, which is insane.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dominic Tyler did like a nose slide down the side, and I caved man the rail. So I didn't ollie onto it. I just did the run and jump and did the rail.
Board slide?
Yeah, caveman board slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, when was that?
That was
a long time
maybe
ago.
98
Okay.
something, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I sort of cheated because with the caveman board slide, right, and that was my go-to warm-up trick on rails for the next decade. And what you do is you'd start at maybe like the third or fourth stair, just jump on, skim it, jump off.
Okay.
Take it up, you know, maybe the 7th or 8th stair, jump on, slide a little bit longer, jump off. And then you could work your way up to the top. And then
Really?
and that was how I'd do it, like on a lot of rails and stuff. And yeah, especially big ones, if you need to get warmed up too, and you're just jumping on, jumping off, you're sort of warming up.
That's insane.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah. Down Bowen, that's insane.
That's what I did on Bowen. I worked my way up to the top. Yeah.
That's insane. Okay.
I don't think I filmed it or anything. Just there one day with the dudes.
Yeah.
Probably had been skating Midland Park and then went round the terrace somewhere.
Yep.
And then went round down to Bowen.
Yep. Yeah, Midland was another mecca back in the day, yeah.
Midland was
Park.
sick. Everyone used to meet up there and go and skate there. It was such a good spot. Yeah.
Midland Park, there was the moon.
The moon, yes.
The infamous moon.
Yeah, I remember going to the moon.
Yeah. We used to mish across town just to get there ourselves, me and the homies.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was a good weekend mission.
Yeah, because you know where the moon is.
Yeah.
So on that, I think it's Bulcott Street, but like across the road from that, there's like an old house. I can't remember what it is, but it's like a historical house, and there's a grass gap there as well.
Okay.
And then across the road as well, there's a car park building. So what we used to do is we used to go and it was super slick concrete in the car park building.
Yeah.
And so we'd spray the floor with the hose and then buttboard down the car park building. And then when you get to the polished concrete floor where you sprayed it with a fire hose, you just fang out and slide across the floor on your board. Yeah, it was sick.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really good. Yeah.
Okay, good times.
Yeah.